How's it going, guys? So I'm out in the fields checking some of our winter forage crop. It's getting closer to harvest. Want to keep an eye on it. We have a couple different varieties. Right here at this line, you can see this lighter. This is a type of rye. It's a Graze Master, it's called. We never grew it before, and it actually has some annual ryegrass mixed with it, which is a smaller grass. You can see some pieces of that growing. Shorter, but it's going to add yield and quality, supposedly. Yeah, pretty impressed with this rye. Definitely has a wide leaf. We'll see how well it actually yields. But this is going to be the first stuff ready to cut. Just keeping an eye on the grain head as it moves up the stalk. Once that grain head pops out, the protein in the forage would really start to drop. Grain head's right here. The top is about 3 inches above it. It's got a little bit more it can grow before we need to cut it. The thing with rye is the grain head moves very quickly once it starts to move. Have some really nice sunny weather now, which is going to help this stuff progress pretty quickly. So we're thinking within the next few days we might be mowing this. Then here on the right, this was seeded a little bit later. This is triticale, so it's a cross between wheat and rye. This stuff matures a little bit later. The head of grain also moves slower out of the plant, so you have a little bit wider window to harvest. It's not going to get away from you if you want to wait. And with this being seeded after soybeans in this field, it was a little bit later, so it's definitely on behind. We could be 2 weeks out from cutting this field, but we need to cut that one within a week. We're thinking we might cut 30 or 40 acres within the next few days. Throw it in the silo we're feeding out of now. That first silo there has our winter forage from last spring. And then that way we can feed out of that one, and then we'll be able to fill the second silo is empty there. That one had corn silage. We can fill that silo full with triticale over the next few weeks. So then we'd be feeding out of this first silo for a month or two. Once it's empty, switch over, and then we'll be able to put corn silage in this first silo and the third silo in the fall. This is actually a different variety that we were trying. This is a triticale. It's called Thor. Never grew it before, but pretty impressed with the wide leaves on this stuff. And we have annual ryegrass mixed with this as well. So this is the first field we seeded in the fall. This is a Forage triticale. It's what we normally grow. Forage is a very high yielding, strong triticale. We could think about cutting this field along with those rye fields. Be able to find 40 or 50 acres to cut at the end of this week. It's a little hard to be patient. Right now we have about 4 straight days with nice sunny weather in the mid 70s. Be perfect for drying the crop to get ready to go in the silo, but we need it to grow more, so we're just gonna let it. We're not wasting the sunlight though. The plants are growing and we're making more forage every day. I need to service the 7220 as well as the 7130 tractor, and then I want to get the disc bind hooked up, check over that thing this week as well. So you don't need a nice indoor shop if you have nice weather. We were working on the planter in here last week. It actually worked out really well. Couldn't fit the planter in, but we could pull the units right inside. Well, that is not the correct filter. Yeah, well, it does say hydraulic filter right there, so maybe I should have checked that before I started. Oh, I think this one goes right there. Yeah, that makes sense. Do we have an engine oil filter? A fuel filter. So the other hydraulic oil filter. I guess I need to go pick up a engine oil filter. It's the next day. I'm gonna finish this tractor up. I had to order a filter. Our local store that has the Wix filters, they didn't have one in stock. So we'll have that pretty soon. But I'm gonna change these other hydraulic oil filters and the fuel filter. Have a little job in the exercise lot behind the heifer barn. There's a drain pipe that comes from the driveway over there. Collects a good amount of water, and it was just stopped right here. We didn't even know exactly where it was because this was all buried. The pipe was broken up and it wasn't extending the whole way to the edge of the pasture. So then the water was eroding down through. We reseeded this pasture this spring, trying to let that grow back before we put cattle on it. We wanted to extend this pipe out now so it carry the water out to the waterway. We had some leftover pipe from when we were doing drainage last summer. Picked up a couple more scrap pieces. We're gonna fit these together. It's a 15-inch diameter. This is turning into an inefficient time. None of these pipes actually lock together properly. We thought the first two went, but then when we went to lift them up, they just fell apart. We were getting scrap pieces, and we have 3 different brands here. I'm gonna get the saw and cut off all these flanges, and we're just gonna get a couple more of these. You can use these to tie the pipes together. We don't have to push them together to lock them together that way. Won't be quite as strong of joints. That thing into place first, maybe. Dad's gonna go ahead and fill it in. It is the next day. We got the disc bind hooked up. Just want to go over it, grease it. The plan is to start mowing some of our spring crop today. We got a decent window, looks like over the weekend. Well, it's supposed to rain tonight and tomorrow, but then Sunday, Monday, into Tuesday look pretty decent. So we should be able to get some dried down to chop by then. You got these little knives, but they move at a high speed and can get a lot of work done. So yeah, I'm just gonna look across. Slide plates on the bottom that actually slide on the ground. I changed a whole bunch of those over the last couple years. They're all in good shape now. I was drying off a cow. My dad just went out and got started mowing. Starting with this rye. You can see some of it's going down now. It's getting pretty tall. We're not gonna touch a lot of these triticale fields this week. We're gonna let these fill out a little bit more. I'll get a chance to run the mower in a little bit. I'm gonna service the 7130. We'll be hooking this tractor to the tedder. Also gonna use it to haul a lot of box manure once we have the fields cleaned off. This unit's ready to go, so we're not gonna start tedding today because there's a good chance of rain tonight. There's no use tedding it until after it gets rained on. And today's Friday, so tomorrow afternoon, something like that, we're gonna ted it out and let it dry a couple days then. I'm gonna take over from my dad at some point, but I'm gonna fill the hay box. Since we're running a little bit low on forage, we actually switched back to the dry chopped hay instead of the straw. We're feeding a bit more of that to the heifers and dry cows and putting a little bit in the milk and cow ration. We were feeding hay at first. We thought we'd switch to straw so we wouldn't have to fill the box 3 times a week. We were doing that just twice. I don't know, if I was thinking ahead, we would have just stuck with the hay and would help save a little bit of forage. The hay has a little bit more protein in it, so it can replace a little bit of the triticale and the heifer and dry cow rations. We kind of feed it just as a filler, so the dry cows and heifers don't get too fat, but they can still eat as much as they want. The hay just has a little bit more nutritional value. Ideally, we'll just use straw so we don't have to use as much of it. We can get more of that filler effect from less of it. This box isn't crazy empty, but if I fill it good and full in the back now, it'll last through till Monday. I guess my dad's ready for a break. This stuff is heavy. Wow. So this is Forage Triticale. I like to cut through the middle of the field so I can go around a section. What we found in the past is it's okay if this crop gets rained on. It's not going to hurt it, at least if it gets rained on a little bit. A good chance of rain tonight. They're calling for a 1/4 inch up to 1/2 inch. We'll let it get rained on and then we'll ted it tomorrow afternoon, spread it out, and then we'll let the sunlight dry it out. Should make great feed. Ideally you don't get it almost dry and then have it get rained on. That's a little bit harder on it, but even then it's usually okay. Got a red fox on the lane up here. He's running away. Not gonna get close enough to see him very well. So we're gonna cut this field. See that line? That's the rye on the right side. So now I'm mowing this rye. You can definitely tell it's a lighter crop than the Triticale we were just in. I'm able to go 8 miles an hour and it's not bogging the tractor down. In the other field I had to drop back to 6 miles an hour at some spots because it was just too heavy going through the rolls in the back of the mower. We got a little bit of rain overnight and today is the next day. Don't hit the truck. Wow, that was closer than, it looked close from here, but. So just went and picked the tedder up. Dad's gonna ted everything we mowed yesterday. And I'm gonna keep mowing a little bit more. The guy who does our custom chopping has this 8-star tedder. It's awesome. We almost like mowing before the rain more because the ground's drier when we're mowing. That way we're not making so many tracks, turning around the ends. And yeah, I mean, I would say to look at the gauge, but I bet we got another at least 1/4 inch since I checked this morning. Probably got 1/2 inch total since yesterday. He does a great job. I want to make sure it's not scraping the ground too hard so that we're not digging up dirt with the feed. We adjusted it up just slightly so it's not touching the ground. One thing with any type of hay crop, you have a risk of picking up more ash or dirt from the ground, which is not good in the feed. You can test for your ash content, so you can see a spot like this. A little bit of, well, that's a crop from last year it's not really dirt, but there's a piece of dirt. But yeah, we don't want to see much of that. It's fine to ted it, we just don't want to ted more than we need to, and we don't want to dig up the dirt. So yeah, this will be good. This will kick off some of that water from the rain and then spread it out good. That way the sun can start evaporating moisture. So I'm gonna go continue mowing. So I got the 50 acres done that we were planning to do for this weekend, and we noticed this one field, just since yesterday, a lot more of this crop has gone down. We got that little bit of rain. I don't know if that extra weight from the water pushed it down or what. It was starting to go down a little bit, but we just decided we better mow this field too. It's another 12.5 acres. We got 62 plus acres down. So that'll be a nice little start. Hopefully chop that Monday or Tuesday.